Today, we're going on a bit of a journey. Not to some faraway place, but somewhere much, much closer. We're going to journey inward, and our guides are going to be these simple, ancient stories that, you'll see, hold some of the most profound wisdom you can imagine.
So let me just start with a question for you to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we go through this. What if the biggest answers we're all searching for aren't buried in some complex philosophy, but they're actually hidden in plain sight, right inside the simplest stories you've ever heard?
Because really, this isn't just about listening. The whole point here is to invite you to ponder, to really chew on these ideas. That's what these stories were made for. They're meant to be reflected on, not just heard once and forgotten.
All right, so our first stop is all about acknowledging a conflict, a battle that, according to a really old and wise Cherokee fable, is raging inside every single one of us, right now.
The story goes like this. An elder is teaching his grandson about life. He says, "Son, a terrible fight is going on inside me. It's a fight between two wolves. One wolf is all darkness and negativity, anger, greed, ego, lies. But the other wolf, it's all light, joy, peace, love, hope, and truth." And then he looks at the boy and says, "That same fight is going on inside of you too, and inside every other person on this earth."
So the grandson, he thinks about this for a minute, and then he asks the one question that really truly matters. The question we all have to ask ourselves, right? "Grandfather, which wolf will win?"
And the elder's reply is just so simple, but so powerful. He says, "The one you feed." And that's it. The outcome isn't written in stone. It's a choice. It's a choice we make every single day with every thought and every action. Who are we feeding?
This constant back and forth between the two wolves, that's what creates all that noise in our heads. Some traditions call it the monkey mind, this restless part of you that just leaps from thought to thought to thought, like a monkey swinging from branch to branch. It's the chatter of those two wolves fighting it out.
So okay, if this huge battle is happening inside us, where on earth do we find the peace, the prize? Well, our next story has a clue, and it suggests the treasure is hidden in the absolute last place you'd ever think to look. So picture this. A master thief, the best in the business, starts traveling with a jeweler. Why? Because he knows the jeweler is carrying an incredibly precious gem, and he is determined to steal it. They even decide to share rooms at night to make the journey easier.
So every single night, when the jeweler steps out for a minute or falls asleep, the thief gets to work. He tears through the bags. He checks under the bed. He searches every single corner of the room. And night after night, he finds absolutely nothing. He's supposed to be the greatest thief in the land, and he is getting so frustrated he can barely stand it.
Finally, they get to their destination. And the thief, he's just completely defeated. He breaks down and confesses everything. He says, "Look, I give up. I am the king of thieves, and I knew you had that jewel. But I searched everywhere, and I couldn't find it. You have to tell me. Where did you hide it?"
The jeweler just smiles and says, "Oh, I knew you were a thief from the very beginning. So every night I hid the jewel in the one place I knew you would never, ever look, under your own pillow." And the message is just so profound, isn't it? The most precious things we're looking for out there, peace, happiness, our own value, they're often hidden right within us.
Realizing that is one thing, but how do you actually, do it? How do we feed that wolf of light and find that jewel under our own pillow? Well, it turns out these stories also give us some really practical tools for the journey.
I love this idea. Think of your life like a recipe you're cooking up. The fables suggest using virtues like spices. You can add a sprinkle of kindness to your conversations, a dash of patience when you're getting annoyed, a good measure of compassion for people, and you build it all on a solid foundation of love. It makes this whole idea of self-improvement feel a lot less intimidating, right?
A perfect example of this is the old fable about the sun and the wind. They get into a contest to see who can make a traveler take off his cloak. So the wind goes first and just blows with all its might, this brutal force. But what happens? The traveler just clutches his cloak even tighter. Then it's the sun's turn. The sun doesn't force anything. It just shines, gently and warmly. And of course, the traveler gets warm and willingly takes off the cloak himself.
And the moral of the story is as simple as it is true. Kindness affects more than severity. Gentleness and warmth are so often way more powerful than force and anger. It's about choosing the right ingredients for your recipe of life.
But okay, what happens when you try to be kind or patient and you just fail? Another story talks about a little boy learning to ride a bike. He was so clumsy, he fell over and over hundreds of times while his brother learned in 5 minutes. But here's the key.
He didn't give up. He kept getting back on. And the pure joy he felt when he finally got it, when he was finally riding that bike, it taught him a lesson he never forgot. Anything, literally anything, can be learned if you just give it time and persevere.
And all of this leads us to our final stop. And honestly, maybe the most transformative part of this whole journey. Putting all these pieces together to discover who we really are, our true nature.
We all know this story of the ugly duckling, right? He's born and he's just different. He's bigger, he's gray, he's awkward. The other ducks make fun of him, the hens peck him. He is a total outcast. And so his entire view of himself is that he's ugly and he just doesn't belong anywhere.
So he runs away. He survives this long, miserable winter all alone. Then one spring morning, he sees these incredibly beautiful, graceful birds on a lake. He's drawn to them, but he feels so ashamed of himself, so unworthy. In his despair, he bows his head down to the water, and he sees a reflection. But it's not the reflection of a big, ugly duckling. It's the reflection of a beautiful white swan.
In that one single moment, his entire world changes. He realizes that's him. It was his own reflection. He was never an ugly duckling. He was a swan the entire time. His true, beautiful nature was just hidden from him by how others saw him, and more importantly, by how he saw himself.
The source material for this explainer wraps up this story with such a powerful thought. We are all swans. We just don't have the eyes to see. It's this idea that our true potential, our own beauty, our own grace, it's already in there. We just have to learn how to see it.
Which leads us to our final question, a pretty provocative one. What if the reason you don't see the swan inside you isn't because it's not there, but simply because your inner mirror is dusty? What if it's just covered up by all that noise from the monkey mind, from feeding the wrong wolf, from looking for that precious jewel everywhere except under your own pillow?
There's one last little fable about the sun and darkness. And it's simple. Darkness can't exist where the sun is shining because darkness is just the absence of light. And that's the ultimate takeaway here. Your true nature is light. So maybe the journey isn't about fighting the darkness. Maybe it's just about discovering the light that is already and has always been inside of you.